Hello, it's me, Fallen Flag Fan, and it's time for the answers to the Q&A. You guys gave me a lot of questions, so I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is not going to be a very good video, I guess. The production quality isn't going to be the greatest. I'm not going to be like showing images and videos on screen, I'm just going to show the comments. I don't want this video to take like 800 years to make. So this is completely unscripted, like every video I make. Normally I just go in and like delete if I mess up something, but for this video, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to cut out a bunch of the thinking. Like, I'm going to think about my answer to the question before, so you don't have to hear me do, I don't know, at every question. But, this video isn't going to be great. Also, sorry if the audio sounds a little weird. I'm recording in a bit of an unconventional way right now. So, it's not going to be, the audio is not going to be the same as all my other videos. But, yeah. I mean, do people come to Q&As to see, like great editing or whatever? No, they come to Q&As to get their questions answered. So I'm just going to provide the answers as quick as possible and in the least intrusive editing format I can. So enough yapping, let's actually get into the questions. Okay, here we go. CNO 2727 Productions asked, will you make a series with your N-scale trains? I mean, I have the On the DLM series, which is just a bunch of, like music video type things with the N-scale engines. If you mean like a narrated series with voice acting and, that kind of stuff, probably not. Funnily enough, I actually had a series planned, and I even made the full first episode, but it was an absolute nightmare to make, so I never made a sequel. So probably not. 2, what is the best movie with a train crash in your opinion? I have to say Runaway Train from 1985, not because I actually like the movie. I'm not a movie guy. I never watch movies, so I haven't actually watched it. And I've just seen the train crash scene, and it's kind of lame. But I'm biased towards it because I've actually stood on the footplate of one of the engines that was in that movie, so I'm biased. 3, do you play Rolling Line? No, I don't. I want to. I want to get it and do cinematics and recreations and Rolling Line rail fanning and stuff, sort of like how Cal Unit Productions does his Rolling Line stuff, but I haven't gotten around to actually doing it. And 4, do you play Railroader? No, I don't, and I honestly don't have any plans to. Adempolana 8834, I hope I pronounced that correctly, asked, what's your opinion on SP5021, and are you aware that she was in the 1991 movie Sometimes They Come Back? If you've watched the movie, what's your opinion on it? Haven't watched the movie, was not aware that SP5021 was in it, but I actually love SP5021. It looks really great. The white walls add so much. I love the Southern Pacific types. I love these big, beefy freight engines. Yeah, I really like 5021. I hope I get to see it one day. 2, what's a video on this channel that you thought was funny and you're proud of making? Definitely the You're a Mean One Union Pacific Christmas parody. That video was so fun to make. I was working with my dad. My dad did the vocals for it. He did a great job. Editing it was really fun. And I just like making non-serious videos. Because I'm just going to bring this up now because I think it's going to pop up a lot in this video. I don't actually dislike Union Pacific that much. I don't like them because of the whole UPNS merger BS, but I actually don't have a problem with Union Pacific. I actually like all the historical Union Pacific stuff is great. Their roster of diesels was great. Armor Yellow is iconic. I actually think the new UP Small Shield scheme is the best Class 1 railroad scheme right now. I don't actually hate UP that much. They're just easy to make fun of. 3, what steam or diesel locomotive would you classify as your favorite or least favorite, or is decently rated or overrated? I'm going to be honest, I don't really have least favorite locomotives. I mean, there are some that I think are ugly, specific examples. I mean, I like the BQ23-7. So, I have low standards. But anyways, my favorite steam locomotive is UP 3985 and just the Challengers in general. And my favorite diesel locomotive is the SD70 ACUs and or the B40-8Ws. It depends on what mood I'm in that day. Overrated locomotives, I mean, obviously Big Boy, 4449, 611, all those guys. I'd say Nickel Plate 765 is underrated, and especially E&JE 765 and the KCS J1s. And as far as underrated diesel locomotives, again, the BQ-23-7s, literally every gen set, they're so wacky and weird. I love them. And probably the GEs in general, like the modern GEs, like Gevos and C6Ms and stuff, because people don't like them because they're so common, and I get it. But in terms of aesthetics, I actually think they look really cool. 4. Who inspired you to start making videos? Southern Plains Railfan, Loco Pro, and the Winnipeg Railfan were the 3 that inspired me to do narrated railfanning videos. I actually started making narrated railfanning videos in 2021, way before I started my channel, and they were atrocious. I started the channel 2 years later, and I'm glad I waited because, oh boy, the early videos on the channel would have been awful if I had uploaded them when I first started making them. But yeah, those 3 are my major inspirations. And later I took a lot of stuff from SAS Railfan. He's great. And, of course, Central Kansas Railfan. But he's literally my doppelganger. And he's stolen a million jokes from me. So I think it's fair for me to steal stuff from him. 5. What heritage unit would you classify as good or not good? My favorite heritage unit is NS 1070, the Wabash. My least favorite heritage unit is CN 3069. That thing is an abomination. Indiana Railfan are asked, will you ever come to Princeton, Indiana, or Evansville to Railfan? I want to, but it's just so out of the way, and there are closer spots that are better, over by Chicagoland, like Pine Junction, or Muncie, or Fostoria, that I could go to that are better. But one day I will get down to Southern Indiana, so I will Railfan there, but probably not anytime soon. Rails of Illinois asked, 1. Who's better, Michael Jackson or Taylor Swift? I hate both of them. I'm not a music guy. Really, the music I listen to is just whatever is on the radio, or most of the music I listen to, actually, or use in my videos, actually comes from my brother. He's way more of a music guy than I am. He shows me the stuff, and I'm like, gotta use that in a video. But yeah, no, I don't like either of them. 2. Culver's and McDonald's. I think Culver's tastes better, but it also, my body hates it. I get, horribly sick to my stomach every time I eat it, so I'd have to say McDonald's. 3. CSX or NS? Honestly, if we're going on, pure statistics, which is better to railfan on, in my area, I'd honestly pick CSX because they have more cool stuff. They got Max, they got all their heritage units are great. I think CSX is the best heritage unit fleet, actually. Yeah, shoot me. But I'm going to say NS because I'm biased, because they're the first railroad I railfanned on. The black scheme is nice. I think YN3 is really nice, and it's better than Norfolk Southern scheme. But I'm just biased towards Norfolk Southern because, again, their heritage unit fleet's great. And, if we go back historically, Norfolk Southern has high hoods. They have, the steam program. I honestly think Norfolk Southern's better, but it's a very slight advantage. Probably changes depending on my mood. 4. Homewood or Rochelle? I have been to Rochelle once to see the big boy in 2024, and I never went to the Railfan Park. So on my experiences, I'm going to have to say Homewood, but I don't know about Rochelle. I'll visit it sometime, but right now, since CN 2026 and 1776 keep going back and forth on Z194 and Z195, I'd have to say Homewood. 5. IRM or Silvis? Well, that one's complicated because if you take into account everything that the organization does, I would say Silvis just because of the excursions over the Iowa Interstate and that kind of stuff. But if we only count the things they do actually at the museum, I'd say IRM. But I've been to Silvis twice, planning on 3, and I've only been to the IRM once, and it was in 2022. So I think I'm biased. BNSF Railfan 01, aka my doppelganger, asked, 1. Which is better, a cheeseburger or a beaver? I don't like cheeseburgers, so a beaver. 2. Ugliest locomotive of all time in your opinion? That one weird, New York Central high-pressure abomination. I like it because it's so unique and interesting, but it's ugly. 3. Best 4. What's the best South Shore engine? 2010. Definitely 2010. The livery, it's so nice, and I like that it can only lead on the Kingsbury branch, so I get to gatekeep it from everyone else because I live so close to the Kingsbury branch. 5. What are your thoughts on CN storing the IC SD70s? Honestly, I don't think it's permanent. I think they're just going to take them out of storage again. I think it's just because of low traffic right now. But if they are permanently retiring them, I will cry because I love the ICSD70s. BNSF fan 7782 asked, 1. What's your opinion on the 250th Big Boy Tour? I'm going to be honest. I know that I've made fun of the 250th Big Boy Tour in both of my videos on it and on that one parody that I recently released. But I'm going to be honest, I don't actually hate it that much. Was it a complete mess? Yes. Was it super dangerous? Yes. Could it have been handled better? Yes. But I'm just glad that there is still at least one railroad running steam across the country. And I'm going to be honest, if I had to pick one steam locomotive, like if I had to get rid of every other steam locomotive that was running and I could only pick one to run in the whole country, it would be Big Boy. Like, it's the most iconic American engine. Like, it deserves to be in operation. So I'm glad that it's still running. I wish they hadn't run it over the Norfolk Southern, though. Like, they should have done, like, Heartland of America Tour 2 or something. Like, I think it's cool that it went through, Indiana, and, Big Boy over Horseshoe Curves is a site that's not soon to be forgotten. But, like, UPNS merger. Like, it's just a ploy to make the public like their economy-ruining merger. So, yeah, if I'm glad that it happened, and it's like the one silver lining on the very dark cloud that is the UPNS merger, but if it was either have the 250 Big Boy Tour and the merger or neither, I would pick neither. 2, favorite train museum. Definitely RHMA Silvis, because of all the cool excursions they do, like the Centennial excursion last year and the Dash 8 and Centennial excursions they're doing this year. I absolutely love them. Plus, they own the Challenger, which is my favorite steam locomotive of all time. So, yeah, definitely them. Best Amtrak line. Well, if you mean like best route with Amtrak, Amtrak only owns like 2 lines, the Northeast Corridor and the Michigan line. So if you're going to go by like best route for Amtrak, if I was to ride on Amtrak somewhere, I would pick the Cardinal train, the one from New York to Chicago, because it goes through so much beautiful scenery and so many towns that very rarely get served. The Cardinal's like the only train in Monon, Indiana, if you ever want a rail fan down there. So I'd have to say that route. NPJ Rail Studios asked, 1. What editing software do you use? Literally, I just use iMovie on an iPad. If you can believe it or not, all of these videos were made on an iPad. I am talking into an iPad speaker right now to record this audio. Yeah, I just can't find a good editing software on my computer, and I've been using it for so long that it's just like muscle memory at this point. So, yeah, I use iMovie on an iPad. 2. What do you think, and will you ever come to Georgia? Yes, I will come to Georgia because I need to see the Hartwell Railroad and the Folkestone Funnel, and, I need to. That's, on my railfan bucket list. It's gonna happen. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but I will be down there one day. 3. Do you play train simulators, and which ones do you play? Roblox counts too. I have Trains A New Era and Trains 2019 on my computer, and I used to play Roblox train games a lot until they deleted my account. I don't know why. I didn't do anything. They just deleted it. They said it was like a expansion of operator permissions or something dumb. Roblox is on a downward spiral, so I just decided not to make another account. So yeah, Trains 2019 and Trains A New Era, and I want to get Rolling Line. But, model trains are better. 4. What's your favorite locomotive builder? GE, EMD, Alco, etc.? I would say Alco, but they obviously aren't around anymore, so I'd have to pick EMD. In the world of diesel locomotives, there's nothing that quite beats a SD70 Ace climbing a hill. Railfan04 asks, 1. What camera do you use? It's a Sony FDR AX43A. I literally just bought it on Amazon along with my camcorder bag that got destroyed in the Cicero incident. So yeah, that's what I use. And it's been an absolute technical nightmare. But in terms of video and actually doing stuff, it's super easy to use. It's super durable. Don't take it out in the rain. It's kind of fragile and it doesn't have a viewfinder, but it's a decent camera, especially for rail fans. I'm definitely going to upgrade one day, but that's what I use right now. 2, should I rail fan Otis Hill or LaPorte in September 2026? Definitely Otis Hill. It's so much better. There's if you can find that second secret Otis Hill spot that I can't seem to find, you should go there too. LaPorte's cool if you want to see the depot, but honestly, I'd recommend stopping by both because they're both pretty great rail fanning locations. VP Train 7657 asks, 1. Favorite Railroad Museum, RHMA. 2. Favorite heritage unit from every Class 1 and Metra. Norfolk Southern is NS 1070. CSX is, it depends on my mood, probably 1871 or 1836. Union Pacific would be definitely the Katy. That thing's awesome. I wish they did it in the John Deere green, but it's still awesome. CPKC would have to be the 7015 because it's the only one I've seen in person, and I like the block font better. CN would be 3023, but I'm biased because, E&J is my favorite railroad, and it's technically the most accurate one of them. And BNSF, and for Metra, it's definitely the 211. Thank God it's not 210. 3. Cubs or White Sox? I don't do sports. I don't care about sports one bit. I know nothing about either of them, so can't give you an opinion. 4. Favorite Metro line and station? Definitely the BNSF racetrack, and my favorite station that I've been to is probably La Vergne, even if that is where the Cicero incident happened. Downers Grove is also nice, and I kind of like the one over by Proviso Yard. I forgot what it's called, but yeah. Wild Dude KC asked, how did you make the greatest intro of all time? First of all, it's not the greatest intro of all time. It's not, other people have made better intros than me. Way better. Watch any Chase Gibson video. Especially 2K24. But anyways, yeah, so I literally just made it using iMovie. I threw some random clips together that I had with frickin' Angry Birds space music because it's not copyrighted. And yeah, that's it. 2, what's your best train meet of all time besides 4002 meets H1? The one on Otis Hill where the GP60s met the intermodal, I think it was 28X with the Dash 9. That one was amazing, and I got a great shot of it too. What's your favorite heritage unit from every Class 1? I already did that. What's your favorite horn salute? The one I got at the depot that one time when it was pouring and I just needed a good train to lift my spirits, and I just got an awesome horn salute. Another notably good one would be that one with CP6644 at the depot, just because it's a quiet zone, but neither of them are particularly impressive. I'd say probably the best one would be CP7023, which is on the very last trip I ever went to the depot before they made it a quiet zone, and it's an ACU and it's a heritage unit, and the horn on it is awesome. So yeah, probably that one. The shot's terrible because it was 2024, but still good. ConFan76 asks, where is the Smurf in Galesburg? It's in the Galesburg deadline. It's over by the Blick art store. You kind of just have to pull off the highway. It's an annoying spot to get to. I spent 5 minutes there. I just quickly snapped a photo of each engine and left. You can also approach it from the other side, but you have to hike across a field, so I didn't do that. What's the best line to rail fan other than the Chicago line? That I visited, probably the BNSF Southern Transcon. Absolutely amazing. And in the Indiana area, definitely the Garrett subdivision. Would you consider going to the CNOTP? I want to, because it's such a scenic line, but it's very low on the priority list, especially when places like Altoona and Roanoke exist. Badger State Railfan Official asked, what's your favorite steam engine that you've seen? The Challenger 3985. And if you mean ones that are, assembled, it would be the Mohawk in Elkhart. 2, what else besides trains do you like? I have a lot of weird interests. I do Plants vs. Zombies. I'm huge into that. Angry Birds. That's why I use Angry Birds music in my intro. Battle for Dream Island. Yeah. Anyone know that show? I really like that show. I also am a big fan of model trains, obviously, but I guess that falls into the train category. I like a lot of Pixar. I'm a big Pixar guy. I love Pixar's cars. I've got so many Cars diecast, and I used to have a second channel dedicated to Cars until it got hacked. I still don't know what happened to it, if anyone was wondering. So yeah, I have actually a lot of other interests as well. Oh, and also Mario and Nintendo stuff. That stuff's cool too. And I also like bugs, a lot. So there you go. If you had enough money to restore or rebuild a steam engine, what would it be? Well, I would have said Challenger or the Mohawk in a heartbeat, but both of them are also, being restored. So I would pick the Southern Pacific 4294 cab forwards. I don't know where it would run at, but it's sick. And if you had to And if I have to take running in consideration, I would pick E&JE 765 because it's E&JE and it looks awesome and it's a decent restoration candidate. But the problem is there should not be. I feel like it wouldn't be like a very popular thing because if it was restored, there would be 2 running engines in Indiana with the number 765, which I feel like would be confusing. But if nickel plate 765 didn't exist, I'd say E&JE 765. Just Filming Trains Beaver Dam WI, that's a great channel name, by the way, asks, are there usually rail fans in Pine Junction every day? The area seems a bit sketchy, but I'm curious if you think it's a nice spot or not. I know it's super busy regarding the revivable place. I love Pine Junction. It's easily the safest place in Gary. It is not a sketchy area. I mean, it's kind of sketchy in terms of like trespassing, but as long as you stay on the road or like just off in the gravel, you'll be fine. CN doesn't care. I've had instances that I heard of where people got kicked off from Kirkyard and they were told to go to Pine Junction instead. So I'm sure CN doesn't care. About CSX, I'm not sure, but it's not a sketchy place one bit. And I would say there's usually a rail fan there pretty much every day if it's a decent day out and, it's summer and whatnot. When I was there was like 14 or so cars, just all rail fans. There was like 20. It was crazy. And the second time I went on that same trip, there was like 1 or 2 guys. So yeah, it's usually a pretty busy rail fan spot, and I would recommend going there. For the longest time, I was worried about the whole it being in Gary and dangerous thing, but no, it's great. And if you don't want to go to Pine Junction specifically, for whatever reason, there you can go to Gary Union Station instead, which has basically the same tracks. Or if you want to see just the CN trimmers, you can go over to Virginia Street on the other side of Gary, which is also a really safe spot, and you can get the East End trimmers over there. Official DRP asks, are you going to rail fan UP rails anytime soon? I want to, but I can't really, because the only rail fanning spot where I can see the Western railroads is like in Chicago, and UP rails in Chicago are usually pretty dead. Maybe like Rochelle or something, but probably not anytime soon. Do you plan to rail fan more of CPKC out Chicago? Do I want to? Yeah. Do I have plans to do it? No. I just want to rail fan. I definitely want to go down to like Louisiana. I want to go to like Meridian, the Meridian Speedway and that one hill that 2816 went over that I forgot the name of. But yeah, I don't have any plans to anytime soon, but I definitely want to. Southern Steamy 1912 asks, who's the more evil corporation, Union Pathetic or Disney? I don't know about what Disney's done. Like, I haven't done digging on it. So I can't really give a proper opinion. But I guess, I know Disney's pretty bad. But honestly, I'd say UP because most of the stuff Disney owns is like, media and stuff, which is not essential. And trains are pretty essential for like the economy and stuff. And if UP's doing really bad and cutting costs, which they are, then derailments, and we know how bad those can be. So Jupiter or 119, definitely Jupiter. The 119's kind of weird looking. 3, if you could bring back one extinct steam locomotive class, which one and why? This is a weird pick, but I'd actually pick the Pennsy Q1. Because it's such a weird looking thing, and I used to make fun of it so much, but I honestly kind of like the thing. In retrospect, it's weird. I mean, I wouldn't want it, in operational condition, but just having it on display in a park somewhere, or maybe at the Pennsylvania Railroad Museum, would have been cool. Some other extinct steam locomotive classes that I would have loved to see, the Erie triplexes. Oh, I'd kill to see an Erie triplex. Though or any of those weird Delaware and Hudson high pressure things. 4, N scale or HO scale. I have mostly all N scale stuff. I have HO stuff, but it's broken because, it's a long story. But yeah, no, I prefer N scale because it's cheaper. I can fit more stuff into a smaller space because I'm pretty limited on space when it comes to models, and I just think it's cuter. 5, do you prefer DDLC or FNAF? I don't like either of them. I don't even know what DDLC is. I'm kind of into horror stuff, so I kind of know what FNAF is, but no, I don't really like either of them. I don't even know what DDLC is. 6, Unstoppable or Runaway Train. I think Unstoppable is the better movie and has a more fascinating production, but again, I'm biased towards Runaway Train because I was on one of the engines that was in that movie. If I ever see one of the CPAC 44s that played the engines, or maybe even visit the Wheeling in Lake Erie, then I'd probably say Unstoppable, but right now I'm biased. 7, thoughts on the T1 Trust. I love the idea of the T1 Trust. Out of all the extinct steam locomotives, like, T1 is a really good choice. You know, it would be my first choice, as I literally just said. But I love that as an idea. I don't like the fact they're using rotary cam valve gear. I get it, but, like, I get why, but it kind of just defeats the point. The whole trying to break Mallard's speed record thing is kind of petty, if you ask me. I'd like to see it happen, but I don't even know where they would do it. Like, what are they going to do, like the Salt Flats or something? It's a train. They can't, you know, on a Class 1 main line, you know, I mean, where in the U.S. is there a long, uninterrupted stretch of straight track with high speeds that they would let a steam locomotive run? Because the only place I can think of would be like the Transportation Technology Center in Pueblo or something, which, I mean, I guess they could do it there. Or like the Northeast Corridor, but that's never going to happen. So who knows? But I cannot wait to see 5550 finished and running. You bet your butt the first run it does, I will be there fighting absolute Foamageddon to get footage of it. Because T1, streamlined, duplex, yeah, it's awesome. I hope it doesn't catch on, though. I hope it's not like a Britain thing where, like, you go to a heritage railway and, like, half the engines are, like, new builds. I'd rather, like, actual authentic steam locomotives be restored to operation rather than new ones. So, like, I like the T1 Trust, but I hope it's just an isolated thing, and I don't want to see a bunch of new builds popping up. Maybe there's a case for a New York Central Hudson new build since they're so iconic, but other than that, I hope it doesn't become a trend. Trainman3985, oh, nice seeing a fellow Challenger enjoyer here, asked, 1, what inspired your Fallen Flag fan? Fun fact, the channel was originally called Wheel Arrangements, by the way, which was a reference to these old slideshows I made, which are literally thousands and thousands of slides of random train stuff. It's like 13,000 slides total across all three. So yeah, that was actually where that title came from, and the profile picture was the Challenger. But I realized that a lot of the videos would be like more diesel focused, so I wanted to change it to something that would like be like related to like modern rail fanning and like diesel locomotives. And I've always liked Fallen Flag units over heritage units and special interest units, so I wanted something to do with that. So that's where the Fallen Flag part of it comes from. And I chose fan because it starts with F, and, you know, like triple F. Yeah, I was thinking of using like triple F as my YouTube name. Like I'd say, hey, triple F here, but that like sounds like a rapper or something weird. So I think I'm just gonna go with Fallen Flag fan. But like as a full name, it used to be Fallen Flag Foamer, if anyone remembers that. But Virtual Railfan doesn't allow the word Foamer in their chat. So if I wanted to talk in the Elkirk cam, I had to switch it. So I had to switch it to Fallen Flag Fan. So yeah. So that's why it's Fallen Flag Fan. I want Fallen Flag Foamer, but it's not going to happen. Maybe I'll make a second channel called Fallen Flag Foamer. I was thinking of making a second channel for like lower effort content. Maybe I'll call it that. 2, how'd you get into trains? The answer is Thomas the Tank Engine. I'm pretty sure it is for like every rail fan. Still a huge fan of the show to this day. I've watched literally every single thing they ever made. Super hyped for the 2026 show. But yeah, I mean, and I still love it, but I just haven't made any videos on it. Maybe I'll make a collection video soon or whatnot. But yeah, that's what got me into it. And also the Heston Steam Museum, which was like the first like real train place I went to. 3, what's one spot you like to visit in the future to railfan at? If you mean like spots I want to go to, Tehachapi Loop. Definitely Tehachapi Loop or Cajon Pass, or like out there in California, or like the CSX mountain line in like Baltimore. Or is it Baltimore? Is it over by like Cumberland? Those are probably the 3 main ones. 4, what is your favorite Class 1 regional and short line railroad? Class 1 would probably be CSX or Norfolk Southern. Again, depends on what mood I'm in. Regional railroad, if you mean like Class 2, I'd have to say Florida East Coast, because their roster's cool. I like their breast cancer awareness units, like the only pink trains in the entire nation, and I love pink. And also their scheme is amazing. And no, I don't mean the champion scheme. I mean the new Grupo Mexico one. I know that's a controversial opinion, but I think it looks better. And my favorite short line railroad is South Shore. You thought it was going to be South Shore Freight. No, it's actually Iowa Traction, because obvious reasons. I'm going to go out there sometime. 5. What is your favorite steam, diesel, and electric preserved, scrapped, and in service? My favorite steam locomotive is obviously 3985. My favorite diesel locomotive is the ACUs, and if I had to pick a specific example, CP7022. And my favorite electric locomotive is, it's the GG ones, and / the R1, specifically number 4800 Old Rivets, because I think the name is cool. The original livery that it had when it was first built is very ornate looking. It was the only one in Conrail Blue, and that bicentennial scheme. 6. Passenger or freight trains? Definitely freight trains. They're much less monotonous, especially manifests. I still like Amtrak and stuff, though, but I think freight's better. 7. Aside from trains, what are other hobbies you have? I basically answered that one. 8. Of all the videos you've made, which is your favorite and least favorite? My favorite video I've ever made is probably the Altoona video, like the full Altoona vlog, which is super long, I know, and not really that much different from the other videos. I just think it's my favorite because I really like to rewatch it, sort of relive the experience of being in Altoona. Like, if you count, like, experience, like, totally ignoring what I caught and, like, how the shots were, like, just on the pure experience alone, Altoona was amazing. Because, like, I'm living in a town that's basically 100% made up of foamers. Like, it was great. It was so cool. All, like, the railroads were, like, worked into, like, every part of the town and city. It was just, it was so good. The Railroads Memorial Museum was great. The fireworks display was awesome. So, definitely the Altoona video. And my least favorite one? Well, my least favorite one, you haven't seen yet. Because I never posted it. Because I made it right at the start when I got into rail fanning and when I got into narrating videos, which is my original IRM videos. And or my original... my first 2 rail fanning videos. I haven't rewatched them in years because I'm waiting for a special occasion to do, I don't know what it would be, like maybe 1,000 videos or like 10,000 subscribers if I ever make it to there. Or, something along those lines, a big occasion to do a reaction video showing my first ever narrated videos. And before anyone asks, no, I'm not doing a face reveal during that reaction video. 9. If you could pick any extinct steam engine to be preserved, I already answered that one. 9. Thoughts on pineapple on pizza. I've never had it. I don't think it would be good, but I've never had it, so I can't say for complete certainty. Also, I've seen kiwi on pizza, which I think is more disgraceful, but I love kiwi, so I think I'd try that over pineapple on pizza. The CSX man asks, 1. Will you ever railfan the GR sub? It probably not, because it's like dead 99% of the time, and the only things you can really catch on there consistently are Amtrash with the ugly as all hell SC44s, pretty much exclusively for power. Maybe if like an Amtrak Heritage unit gets on one of those trains, like how 160 was a couple of months back, then maybe I'll consider it. And 2, will you ever go to the Heston Train Museum in Northern LaPorte? I've been there over a dozen times. Yes. Also, I'm going back on September 7th this year for Labor Day weekend Steam and Power Show. So, yeah. So, yes. Dirty Diesel Trains asked, 1. The BNSF Aurora or the BNSF Mendota subdivisions? Aren't they the same line? I thought they were the same line. Because if they're the same line, then it doesn't really matter. But I guess I'd say Aurora. I'm assuming that's the racetrack. I'd say that because, it's on Metra. 2. Favorite and least favorite Metra locomotive. Well, my favorite would be 525. 502 is my profile picture. Not because I actually like 502, but because I like the photo I took of it with, like, the sun glare off of it. And honestly, I'd like to change it to 525. But first of all, I've never seen 525. And second of all, I just think it's too iconic to get rid of now. And with all the videos it appears in, I wouldn't want to like change it. And then all those videos would become outdated. So yeah, 525 is the best one. It's one of, if not the best semi-quincentennial liveries out there. And favorite Metro locomotive class is definitely the ST70 Mac H's. And least favorite would be any of the standard paint MP36 PH 3-SCs or whatever they're called. Those things are super ugly. 3. Ogden Dunes or Miller. Never been to Miller, so I'd probably say Ogden Dunes, but I don't really like Ogden Dunes that much, frankly, because the parking is kind of weird. There's like no place to go to the bathroom there aside from that Maze Mart, and it's just not a great rail fanning location, honestly. The shots of the South Shore are pretty limited, especially in the evening when you have to stand on the other side because of backlitness and that stupid bush blocks your westbounds. So I don't actually know because I've never been to Miller, but I guess I'd say Ogden Dunes is better. 4. If the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern bought Gevos, how would you react? Honestly, I think I'd be pretty disappointed. I mean, it's another EMD-centric line buying Gevos. I think they'd look pretty sick in the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern Green, or especially in that fast freight scheme. But if they replace those SD50s, I'd be very disappointed. I really want to see those SD50s. I'm actually going out to Pennsylvania eventually, sometime. It's in the works to see 2102 and those SD50s. So I'd probably be pretty disappointed. 5. New York Central or Pennsylvania Railroad? Oh boy. It's kind of like a CSX Norfolk Southern situation where it kind of flip-flops, depending on my mood. But I've been to Altoona, and it was the greatest rail fanning experience of my life, so I have to say Pennsylvania Railroad. But I'm sure right off the heels of the Mohawk move and restoration later this year, I'm going to say New York Central. 6. Favorite Amtrak Midwest service? By Midwest, I'm assuming you mean the ones that have that weird Phase 5 scheme and the SD44s and the Amtrak Midwest branding. And the answer to that question is none of them. They all suck because the SD44s are super ugly. But if I had to pick one, I'd say the one that goes up through Michigan, the Wolverine, because I just think that one has the nicest route. If I was going to ride on one, I'd probably pick that one. Or the one up to Grand Rapids. I forgot what it's called. 5. Favorite locomotive. No special interest or heritage units. I mean, UP 3985, I don't know if that counts as a special interest unit. But my favorite, diesel that's running on a Class 1, right now that isn't a special interest or heritage unit would probably be NS 1001 because I have a model of it and because it's an ace and I just love aces. Or any of the CSX Max, those are all pretty cool. Or literally any of the CN Yard Power. It doesn't even or Canadian cabs or CN 2501. So, yeah, probably one of those. 6. If you could rail fan anywhere in the world right now besides LaPorte, where would it be? Okay, first of all, I don't rail fan in LaPorte very often because it's a good spot. I rail fan in LaPorte because it's the closest place to me. But if I could rail fan anywhere in the world, it would be Tehachapi Loop or going back to Altoona. 7. Favorite Chicagoland hotspot? Pine Junction. Definitely Pine Junction. I have a secret Chicagoland hotspot that I've never been to, but I've scoped it out, and that might become my favorite after I go there, but definitely Pine Junction if that counts, although it is in Indiana, so I'd have to say probably Bensonville Yard if I had to pick a spot actually in Chicago. 8 and 9 are both sports-related questions, and I don't care about sports, so we're going to skip those. Callum Nichols 7652 asks, 1. Trains or train simulator? I prefer trains because you have more freedom, and I find the idea of the simulated model railway more fun than the accurate, realistic train simulator. So that's why I don't have train simulator. I prefer trains. 2, is there a place that you would want to go rail fanning out of state? Yes, very many, but as I said, my main one is Tehachapi Loop that I want to go to. And back to Altoona and the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern, and Georgia, and all these other spots. Basically, if there's a spot with trains in the country, I probably want to go there. 3, what is the rarest train you've ever seen / rarest locomotive you've seen? Yeah, it was that. I don't think anything's ever going to top that. Amazing lighting, amazing consist, great time there. Got to meet up with some guys who actually work for CPKC. Absolutely amazing. It didn't get in any of my top rail fanning videos because it was in 2024. And yeah, the shot wasn't the best because it was pre-camcorder. But it was still definitely the best one. The Polar Express 1225 Productions asks, what is your dream steam locomotive that you would like to see? Well, honestly, the ones I wanted to see the most were Nickel Plate 765, ENJE 765, New York Central 3001, the Big Boy, etc. that I've already seen. But the ones that I haven't seen that I really like to see would be 4294 at the California State Railroad Museum, literally any of the ones at the Pomona Fairgrounds or, UP 9000, SP 5021, that kind of stuff. Or the, oh God, I'm blanking. Oh, this would inevitably happen after doing this for, 40 minutes at this point. The recording's 40 minutes long at this point. What was the one I was going to mention? Oh yeah, Reading 2100 and 2102. Obviously running, of course, and also 611 and all the other ones that are operational. But yeah. 2. Do you plan on going to any other railroad museum / tourist railroads across the U.S.? Yes, pretty much everything is on the list. Next year, I'm planning on going to the Red and Blue Mountain in Northern and that one line that the Susquehanna 142 runs on out in New Jersey, and maybe the Everett Railroad. And I also plan to go to eventually the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, the Virginia Museum of Transportation, the B&O Railroad Museum, etc. And as you said, Strasburg, it's going to happen eventually. It's Strasburg. I have to go to Strasburg. It's like a railfan requirement. So yeah, lots of them. 3. What is the worst locomotive you've seen in person? Probably one of the SC-44s, or that one that I saw at Pine Junction that one time with the absolutely horrible horn on it that CKR made fun of me for saying right before it passed, oh, the Chargers have good horns even though they look ugly, and then that thing showed up. So yeah, and I had to see it twice too, which sucked. So yeah. 4. What is your favorite unusual catch that you've seen? Either the rail grinder going into the siding in LaPorte, or that one CP consist, which I guess could be considered unusual, although it is pretty much just a power move. 5. What is the funniest moment you have seen while watching trains? In the moment, it wasn't funny, but in retrospect, the Cicero incident was definitely the funniest one, which, for the people not in the know, I'll pop a card right now to the video where I explain what happened. But basically, I was sitting in a lawn chair right next to a Metra at the La Vergne Metro station, and I had my camera bag sitting on the lawn chair, and my dad was sitting next to it on a different lawn chair, and obviously I was standing up filming the train. And I was holding my camcorder, which is obviously the heaviest thing in my bag, and this is before I got the Canon, the Canon Rebel, so it was pretty much empty. And the speed from the Metro train launched the bag like 100 feet down the tracks and destroyed it. So in retrospect, that's definitely the funniest one. Cenophile Railroad 1993, I hope I said that correctly, asks, do you know of Pentrex? If so, do you know that they're releasing their railroad programs for free on their YouTube channel? Yes, I do. I actually own 1 or 2 Pentrex DVDs, and I was going to upload them to Fallen Flag Archives, but I decided not to. Or some of them I already uploaded, but some of them I'm not going to because they're releasing them for free on the YouTube channel. 2, what's your favorite obscure movie / film with trains and or trolleys in them? I'd probably just say the Runaway Train movie from 1985, but that one's not very obscure. So I don't really, again, I'm not really a film guy, so I don't know like the obscure films, but I'd probably say that one. 1. What is the most foam-tacular lash-up you've ever caught on camera? Again, that one CPKC 231 at the depot back in 2024. Or that one time, then that same month, that I saw the Illinois Central paper unit switcher towing the OCS, or the Big Boy consist or something. But usually the CP one, probably. 2. What equipment do you currently use for videos? Canon A630 or not A630. That's the old camera. I said Canon A630. Sony FDR AX43 for videos. Canon Rebel XS for photos, usually. Unless it's far away, then I use the camcorder because it has a better zoom lens. There's a Canon XSI or something. It's just a small blue camera, which I use for low down and under train shots. The previously mentioned by accident Canon A630 is what I use for the retro shots. I have a tripod that I know nothing about because I literally stole it from my grandpa because he just had it in his garage, and I'm like, this is cool. And then I took it. He wasn't using it. He doesn't have to know. And obviously, I have all my video editing equipment, like my iPad that I edit my videos on, and my computer to store them and all that kind of stuff. But that's the main equipment. 3. If you were to bring 5 extinct steam locomotives back from the dead, which would they be and why? The Q1, the SPAC-11s, the SPGS5s, because those things are super underrated. I was about to say the CP Selkirk, because I remember there's one preserved, but it's just not in operational condition. Probably the B&O EM1s and the New York Central Hudsons and Niagaras, and that might have been more, and then literally any other streamlined steam locomotive. That might have been more than 5, I don't know. 4, if you were a railroad CEO of any Class 1, what would be some of your beginning priorities, and which Class 1 would have the best steam program? If I could pick a CEO, any railroad to be the CEO of, probably CSX. because I feel like they're in a good financial position. I mean, again, UP-NS merger aside, I wouldn't want to be the CEO of a Class 1 because that's a lot of stress that I wouldn't want to deal with. And, all that. But if I was the CEO of CSX, aside from like just running the railroad and stuff and getting rid of PSR, another like in terms of like stuff that foamers would appreciate, obviously I'd make more heritage units. I'd definitely make New Haven because I don't know why they skipped over New Haven. And I'd make Penn Central and I'd make it in that wacky Tycho green livery. You know the one I'm talking about. That's not remotely prototypical at all, but I love it. And I would have, obviously I do a steam program. I get the CNO 614 to run on the main line. I get the 1601, the Allegheny, one of the two preserved Alleghenies, preserved, and that would be like my big boy. And then I'd have some B&O steam locomotive, probably the not Lord President, that's the LNER P2, President Washington Pacific, or whatever it's called. The one at the B&O Railroad Museum, have that running, and probably that one Seaboard 210 to represent that side of the family. I would have a big steam program like Norfolk Southern used to. 5, what is your favorite kind of music to listen to? I pretty much listen to all genres. As I said, most of the music I listen to is just whatever's on the radio or stuff that my brother finds. I don't even have my own playlist. I usually just listen to his playlist. 6, when do you think you'll be going to Heston again? September 7th. Maybe I shouldn't be saying the date. Whatever, who cares? The Midwest Rail Fan asks, 1, have you always rail fanned mainly in Indiana? Yeah, I live here. Well, I've lived here for as long as I can remember, and definitely since I became a rail fan, so yes. 2, what rail fanning equipment do you use? Already answered that. 3, what would you rate NS 250 units out of 10? NS 1776 is 9 out of 10. 2026 is 10 out of 10. 250 is 8 out of 10. 8118 is 9 out of 10, or no, 10 out of 10. And the other two I haven't been painted yet, but just based on the renders, I'd give 8096 a 10 out of 10, and I'd give 8143 a 9 out of 10. Which Class 1 and Class 2 250th units are your favorite? Class 1 would be CN 1776 or NS 8118. Class 2, probably the one, I was about to say Metro, but that's not a Class 2, that's a passenger. 525 is all the Class 2 railroads, like Florida East Coast and Iowa Interstate, they make kind of crappy ones. So I guess for like short lines, I'd probably say like, again, Metra, if that counts. But, for freight railroads, I'd probably say like Wheeling and Lake Erie, or like Minnesota Commercial solely because of the Dash 7, or like Nakentuk Railroad, or if that's how you say it, because that one's also amazing. And that one railroad that I forgot the name of that had like the chop nose GP7 with the huge eagle on the front, that one's good. 5, least favorite Class 1. Probably UP. Again, I don't hate them. I just don't like them as much as all the other ones. 6, how many states have you been to? Oh, God. I'm going to have to think. Okay, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, California, Arizona. Oh, I lost track, but it's a lot of them. Although most of them I don't remember, and I've only rail fanned in Indiana, Michigan. I haven't even rail fanned in Michigan. I've only rail fanned in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Iowa that one time. I think that's pretty much it, actually. Metro 161 Production asks, with the 525 profile picture I want but will never get, 1, will you ever rail fan it on the Union Pacific Geneva subdivision? That's the one over by Proviso Yard, right, I think? Probably not, because it's a kind of crappy line. I mean, at least that's the impression I got from the time I was there. There was like no freights running, and there was very few Metras, so I don't know if that's a good line to rail fan on. I haven't really done much research on it. Rail fanning UP is low priority because, again, they're my least favorite Class 1. I'd like to one day, but if I was going to rail fan UP, I'd probably go Rochelle. Does the Geneva sub go through Rochelle? I don't actually know. 2, what's your opinion on Union Pacific retiring the SC-70Ms? I'm so disappointed, man. I love the SC-70Ms. I really want them to keep them around. I mean, they'll probably keep them around with yard power, but I'm going to try and catch as many as I can before they get rid of them. Especially the ones that don't have the notched radiators and nose. Those ones are the best ones. 3, do you ever run HO trains or have any? Yes, I have HO. In fact, I actually started with HO. The first ever model train I got was a Bachmann starter set with one of the USRA 060s. Then I got a Santa Fe FT, and then I got a Bachmann Thomas set. Those are my first 3 sets, all in HO. And I used those for several years. And actually, I think now is a good time to mention that long story with the HOs that I mentioned earlier. So basically, I had HOs for the longest time. I ran them in my room. Everything was fine. And then one day I decided I want to move the layout to the basement. So I did that. But the layout I put in the middle of the basement so it couldn't reach the wall. And so I used an extension cord. And for some reason, what was up with this extension cord, I don't know. But it completely fried the track. All the track is broken. It doesn't conduct electricity anymore. I don't know why. The fish plates are fine. The connection's fine. It's Bachman Easy track, so the connection should be fine. Like, it fried it. And then I got new track, which is older power lock track, hooked that up using the same extension cord, fried that too. So all of my track is gone. It's completely broken. I don't know what happened. The engines are all fine. The USR 060 as well as a UPFEF I have are at my great uncle's house right now because he has an HO layout and he's just borrowing them until I can get a functional HO layout again. I will get a functioning HO layout one day. I'll fix up some of the engines I own. But I actually just recently packed them away with bubble wrap because it's going to be years before I get an HO layout. But I do want to run HO stuff, but I'm just going to focus on N for now. The Georgia Railfanner asks, do you plan to come to Railfan Georgia or Tennessee? Yes, both of them. 2, do you have plans to make a documentary? Yes, I guess kind of. I guess sort of my videos are documentaries. I definitely want to make one on like the history of certain engines or whatnot, but I don't know. I feel like just the railfanning videos are easier to make and turn out better. I'm definitely going to make a video on like TRTR style about all the 250 units, which by the way, that was that secret video I was talking about when I was trying to catch the Amtrak 250 units, but like literally everyone guessed what it was, so I don't see a reason in keeping it secret anymore. So that's what it is. I'm hoping to have that done by 4th of July next year, 2027, so I have time to see all of them. But yeah. 3, do you have any ideas on what drone I should buy? No, because as I said, I have a drone. It's not a filming drone. I just play around with it. It was cheap, so I don't care if it gets broken. The other one I got was a DJI Mini 3, which I got later, and then I returned it because I was too scared to fly it over railroad property because if it broke or whatever, I'd be out of $500. Not to mention my camcorder has such a good zoom lens that it doesn't really matter I don't have a drone, but I like the DJI Mini 3 for what it was, and if you're less paranoid than me, I'd say get one. They're fairly cheap. Legendary Tater Tots asks, what's your favorite Illinois location to railfan at? Probably Bensonville Yard or Homewood. I've been to both of those very many times. Silvis is also good. Illinois Rail Museum is good. Most of it around Chicago. Pretty much literally any location in Chicago is good. Anywhere on the South Shore. I haven't been to Kensington, but I've heard it's great. Same with Rochelle. So I'd probably have to say Bensonville Yard just because it's CPKC. And the yard moves there are pretty cool. And the yard is extremely accessible. And also maybe Homewood. 2, what's a camcorder tripod you use? Already did that one. 3, what's your favorite train company? E&JE for sure. DMV Transit Foamer asks, freight or passenger? Freight. Favorite spot? I'm saying, obviously overall would definitely be Otis Hill. But again, I'm only counting spots I've actually been to. Otis Hill is my favorite because it's close and there's a lot of shot opportunities there. But I'm pretty sure I'd be biased towards any location if I live by it. Anywhere in Altoona is great. Galitzin Tunnels was cool. The problem with Altoona is that the entire area is kind of awesome. There's no individual spot that has all the strengths. Like Horseshoe Curve is cool, but it's kind of crowded, only open at certain times. The West Slope is annoying. Galitzin Tunnels is great, but one line goes off, so that one's kind of sucky. Cassandra is really cool, but then westbounds always jump scare you. Crescent's not that good of a shot, and you could get jump scared by eastbounds easily. So, I don't know. They're all, Altoona area itself is good, but there's not really one spot that I think is the best. So I'd have to say Otis Hill, especially eastbounds. That recent trip I had where I got the ace leading climbing up the hill definitely solidified Otis as my favorite rail fanning spot. 3, if you had to scrap a historical locomotive, which would you choose? Okay. Well, I'd probably pick one that's really irrelevant that has a bunch of surviving siblings. So it would either have to be one of the C&O Kawanas because there's 18,000 of them left, or one of the big boys. Because again, there's 8 of those left. So probably one of those. 4, least favorite steam locomotive. Again, I don't really pick least favorites because I don't really think there are any that are particularly bad. There are some that I think are very overrated, like Big Boy and especially Frisco 1522. But I think my least favorite steam locomotive, again, that weird New York Central high pressure thing, I guess. But again, I still like it. There are very few steam locomotives I actually dislike. I don't particularly like geared locomotives like Shays and stuff. Those are kind of lame looking if you ask me. But yeah, I don't really have a least favorite in particular. Maryland or Virginia, never been to either, so can't give a proper opinion. But in terms of rail fanning, I'd probably say Virginia's better because it has Roanoke and that kind of stuff. And it has 611. Train Fan 2013 asks, what's your least favorite railroad? Probably Blackwell Northern because of the absolute nonsense that went on with them. It'd probably be them. I know that's a lame choice, but whatever. 2, do you think UP 844 will steam again next year? Probably not. I'd really like to see it running, but no, it's probably not going to happen. Please, UP, just let it out of the shed. Just let it out. Just let it do a short distance excursion or something. I mean, hell, we could do 844 tour across the nation 2027. Come on, Union Pacific. Steam up 844 again, you cowards.
Michael, don't leave me here. Michael, help me.
3, have you seen all 20 NS Heritage units? I've seen all 22 NS Heritage units. I just got the last one last month, which was ironically NS 1070, which is also my favorite one. JR, the PA rail fan, asks, what's your favorite locomotive model, the Challengers? 2, what's your favorite NS and UP Heritage units? Already did that. 3, how often do you go to LaPorte to rail fan? Pretty much as I'm able to. What is your favorite engine, tender, or OCS car on the Big Boy excursion? Probably NS 2026. Because I think it's not as overrated as the Big Boy, although the Big Boy is obviously still awesome. I went out to see it for, twice, and I plan to go next year. If it runs anywhere in like Illinois or like remotely close, I'm going. United Prod Z asks, what's your favorite steam engine, UP 3985? If you could only see one Class 1, what Class 1 would it be? CSX, because they have the most diverse roster and there's a lot of foreign power on the Garrett sub, and it's relatively close. 3, what is one of the worst foamer confessions that you've ever done or seen someone do? I've never actually had someone admit something to me personally, in person or even online, so I'm going to go with me. Either the Cicero incident, which I already talked about, or that time I blatantly trespassed into CPKC's Bensonville yard because I was just getting into rail fanning and had no idea what was considered trespassing or not. I mean, that spot, if you're careful and, stay behind where the yard limit is, you'll be fine. But I had no idea, and I literally just walked straight into the yard like a complete idiot. So, yeah. Or that one time I climbed into that wasp-infested coach at the IRM. That was a terrible idea. 8505 Creations YT asks, what was your favorite catch of all time? The best one is, again, that CP contest I mentioned before, but my favorite one would have to be any of the Pittsburgh line ACU sets, because that was like the entire point of going out to Altoona. As I said, the Altoona trip was my most favorite railfan trip of all time. And if I ever see UP 3985 running, that's definitely going to become number 1. But right now, I'd say literally anything I caught on the Pittsburgh line. The GOAT, Cedar Lakes Railfanner, asks, what's your favorite place to railfan? Otis Hill. Should narration become a standard for railfanning videos? Probably. There are some channels that I understand them not being narrated, but I feel like if you want to call yourself a quote-unquote big railfan YouTuber, then you kind of have to do narration. And I think it's more entertaining to watch. Although I think music can also help, especially if you do it really well. Shout out to Chase Gibson, by the way, because his videos are amazing, and the fact I have more subscribers than this guy is absolutely criminal. Go watch them right now. Favorite railroad, EJ&E. RCCP 2027 asks, are you planning to go see Pierre Marquette 1225 or Reading 2102/2100? Hopefully, I'm going to see Pierre Marquette 1225 this winter when they do the Polar Express excursions, weather permitting, because driving in Michigan in the winter sucks. And I'm going to see 2102 next year, hopefully, and I definitely want to see 2100 eventually. Windsor Rails asks, do you ever plan to railfan in Canada? Yes, I do. There are certain places I really want to visit, like that one canyon in British Columbia where the CN and CPKC go together that I forgot the name of. That one yard where there's that Sioux unit working. literally anywhere in the Toronto area. Like I want to see on like that Via Rail corridor or whatever, or over by like that one CN yard. What is it like? What's it called? Brampton, that place. And do you plan to chase Pierre Marquette 1225 this winter? Hopefully, again, weather permitting. CSX 7598 asks, what's your opinion on the C40-8M? It looks great. I have a model of one. I'd really like to see one in person one day. I think the EMD variants of the Canadian cowls are cooler, and especially the HR616. That thing is so weird. I actually like those way better. I wish one was still around. But the C40-8M is an awesome engine. 2, do you think Canadian cab Gevos would look cool? I guess, kinda, but there's a reason they switched away from the Canadian cab. I honestly think the teardrop window cab is cooler than the Canadian cab on Gevos. Like, the Canadian cab suits EMDs. It just looks wrong on, like, the C44-9WLs. So I bet a Canadian cab Gevo would look pretty cursed. But if they were around for several years, let's say all the Gevos that are teardrop windows were Canadian cabs instead, I think that us rail fans would be used to them and probably really like them because they'd probably be rare. BC Rail 4651 YouTube asks, will you come to visit Rosenberg, Texas? Probably not. Will you do Texas rail fending locations like CKR did? I mean, maybe if I'm in the area. I mean, I have to go there eventually to complete my life goal of seeing all 14 Centennials and all 8 Big Boys. So maybe I will, but it's very low on the priority list, so probably not. Grafted in 24 asks, will you visit Fostoria this September? I'll be there early in the month. I'm actually going to Fostoria in October, but no, not September. So yeah, guys, sneak peek. Look forward to the Fostoria video. I'm going there over my fall break, so hopefully I'll get some good footage and catch some decent stuff. Rail Fanning with Kai asks, what's your favorite place to go rail fanning on the whole Chicago line? Obviously, it's Otis Hill. Also, thanks for the congratulations for the 500th video. SGamer12CB asks, what's your opinion on Portuguese trains? You probably don't know any of them, but if you want, just search up Siri 1400. I looked at all these questions before narrating this, but I saved this one because I wanted to capture my live reaction to seeing this for the first time, because I don't know anything about Portuguese trains, as you projected. I do like to research railroads of other countries, so I'm going to look up this right now, and let's see what they look like. Oh, that's kind of ugly, actually. Yeah. I don't know anything about Portuguese trains, really, but I'm sure I'd like them if I got to know them more. There are a lot of countries that I'm very fascinated in the railroads of, especially, the UK, Germany, the Soviet railways, especially Chinese railways. Australia is awesome. The Balkans have some pretty sick railroads. So, yeah. Don't know really much about Portuguese trains. Will you be going to the Railroad Hall of Fame next year? Probably not. And will you be doing anything to celebrate the 200th anniversary of railroading? Also probably not. I didn't really do a dedicated America 250 video this year, and I highly doubt I'll be doing anything for that. And I think it's kind of lame because, there was already, 2025 was the 200th anniversary of railways in general because they were invented in Britain first. I know CSX will be doing something to celebrate the 2027 200th anniversary of railroading, so maybe I'll make a video about their thing, and that'll be my celebration of it, but probably not anything big or spectacular specifically devoted to that. Central Valley Railfan 1570 asks, what is your favorite movie and show and why? Well, definitely Thomas the Tank Engine, just because, nostalgia, and I honestly think it's pretty good. My favorite season of the show is obviously season 5, and the best movie is Blue Mountain Mystery. Again, I'm not very much of a movie guy, so that's probably my answer if you ask me just on any random day. But, maybe if I, get more into movies and shows one day, I'll have a different answer. Levi Burton V1V asks, what's your favorite type of Norfolk Southern locomotive? If we're going currently active and on the roster, any of the high hoods. But if we're going all time, definitely the SD7s or any of the steam locomotives if you count them. Paxton Gaming H2D asks, what's your favorite NS Heritage unit? NS 1070. Fire Photography 2015 asks, do you like BC Rail? Yes, the rock lights are awesome. The hockey stick or the tricolor, whatever you want to call it, livery is cool. Blueberry is kind of lame, but I like the shade. And the fact that they're teardrop windows -9s is also cool. And do you like C40-8Ms? I already answered that. Flapjack Railfans asks, what's your rarest catch? Again, that CP thing. The Arc LA Miss Railfan asks, which steam locomotive that hasn't been restored to operation yet would you like to see restored? SB 4274 and or ENJE 765. Amtrak Fan 19 Official asks, do you prefer GE Genesis units to Siemens Chargers? I'm going to be honest, I don't really like either of them. I mean, I prefer the Genesises. But honestly, I don't think either of them look particularly good. The F40s and P32-8s are my favorite Amtrak engines. There was a time when I used to love the ALC-42. I don't know why. I mean, they're cool. I really like them. I stand by my placement on my top 10 diesel locomotives list that they're cool, but that's mostly because of the sound of them and the flashing lights and not really how they look. So I guess I'd say I prefer the Genesis units, but it's very slim. And I really do like the Chargers too, but the F40s and P32s are better than those. Straight to Official asks, do you plan on chasing 6936 next month? 6936, no. 537, heck yeah! Anne Mary Elizabeth Rose Wolski asks, hi, favorite steam locomotive train? UP 3985. Norfolk Southern Fulmer asks, how do you see NS 1072? Well, with my eyes. Okay, yeah, I know that was kind of like a snarky comment. In all seriousness, it's usually through my camcorder lens. James Pounder Q6G asks, why do you hate my favorite railroad, Union Pacific, so much? Because of the merger. That's it. I don't actually hate Union Pacific that much. It's mostly just for comic effect. They're easy to make fun of. Same with the Big Boy Tour. Again, easy to make fun of. I don't actually hate them much more than any of the other Class 1s. Jay the Train Guy asks, is NS 8101 still evil? Yes. I haven't forgotten about the 8101 saga, by the way. There's a big 8101 saga project coming as soon as I stop procrastinating, okay? So yes, he is very much still evil. And considering he's hiding in Altoona right now, I won't be seeing him again anytime soon. Luke A. 2017 asks, what made you start rail fanning? Southern Plains Rail Fan. I really wanted to catch some real trains, and also Thomas Tank Engine got me into trains. But the main inspiration to start filming them would be Southern Plains Rail Fan, Loco Pro, and SAS Rail Fan. Norfolk Southern Dude asks, list all the heritage units you've caught. Every single one. Okie dokie. NS 1065, NS 1066, NS 1067, NS 1068, NS 1069, NS 1070, NS 1071, NS 1072, NS 1073, NS 1074, NS 1080, NS 4851, NS 8098, NS 8099, NS 8100, NS 8101, NS 8102, NS 8103, NS 8104, NS 8105, NS 8114, NS 8025, CSX 1973, CSX 1967, CSX 1875, CSX 1972, CSX 1834, CSX 1900, CSX 1981, CN 8952, CN 3023, UP 1982, UP 1983, UP 1985, Metro 500, and all of the other short line ones that I don't have a list for, so I'm not going to bother with them because it would take 8 years to research. But some notable ones would be the 2 Iowa Interstate Rock Island Heritage units, Metro 500, as I just said. I guess South Shore 2010 if you want to count that, but that's not really a heritage unit. And honestly, I don't think I've really seen many short line heritage units. So there you go. That's every heritage unit. My voice hurts. I don't know how long this video is going to be when I finish it, but the recording right now is 1 hour and 11 minutes. I feel like I'm going to throw up, so I'm going to end this video now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to catch those units while you can, especially the ones that don't make your jaw hurt from sitting and talking into an iPad speaker for 1 hour. And why did I think this was a good idea? Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!